ride modes. Oh, let's put it over to sport and see how that does. Dude, I've been in standard mode all this time. Let's try out sport and see if there's any big difference. Hopefully this guy knows where we're going, because I don't.
Just follow me, okay?
Yeah, I thought we may have missed it. Alright, Buenos Dias, John's Moto Garage. Taking the FTR1200 out for a quick ride.
Bet you could really this one easy, huh?
I'm taking your puck.
Alright, I don't know if this is a 2020 or 2019, but it's the FTR1200. This is my first ride ever on the motorcycle. First demo ride with Indian in quite some time. Shout out to another John out here, one of the local subscribers and viewers. He spotted me and introduced himself. Seems like a real cool dude. All right, we're good to go. Woo! All right, FTR1200, my first ride. I've been waiting about a year to jump on this and give it a shot. With this demo, they didn't do like any introduction, so I don't know what the rules are, but we'll just kind of follow the flock and see what happens. Ooh, this thing just feels like it wants to be up on one wheel. I know very little about this 1200cc chain drive, liquid cooled 6-speed, you know, Indian sport bike. It feels pretty dang torquey, and like I said, it feels like it wants to be on one wheel. It's got the naked bike Street Fighter ergonomics here to it, so pretty dang comfortable. It reminds me, just as far as the seating position, it reminds me of the Yamaha FC09, you know, FC07, some of those Euro Street Fighter style motorcycles. Alright, there you go, get on. Woo! Gotta get on it, see how she feels. Yeah, she gets up and goes, man. Definitely a torquey little bike. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is the same engine that you have in your Scout and the Scout Bobber. Probably just tuned a little bit differently for the, you know, performance. I'm quite certain this would be pretty easy to pop up on one wheel, but I have the Indian Challenger ride lined up, and I don't want to screw things up for that. So I'm just going to take it easy for now, but super torquey down low, definitely seems to pull hard, and as far as the handling goes, feels pretty nimble, and I don't know, stock seat seems quite comfortable, although this is just a quick ride, so it's hard to say after you've been on it for, you know, 30-40 minutes. That could change, but I'm digging the position for sure, and honestly, it's just about everything I expected it would be as far as just the feeling. You know, obviously with these demo rides, it's kind of it's difficult. You don't really get a good idea of how the bike's going to handle because you're so limited to what you could do. You know, you're restricted. But anyway, shift's extremely smooth. It seems to be very, you know, throttle super responsive. Brakes are good. What do we have here? Gear indicator. Yeah, it's got gear indicator. Yeah, it's got a nice kind of torquey, grunty pull to it when you get on it. I can imagine with some exhaust, this thing would feel awesome. I don't know, create some distance here in the pack so we can get on it and get a good feel for it. I'm in the worst spot, man. For these demo rides, you want to be as close up front as possible. And I'm third from the back, so that sounds pretty good for stock exhaust and everything. That's a good looking motorcycle too. I don't know, leave a comment below. What do you guys think of the Indian FTR1200? I know there are tons and tons of videos. I'm way behind the 8 ball as far as getting on this bike and trying it out, but it's been high up there on my list. The problem for me is the price point there when you compare it with your other bikes that you can get, especially, you know, the Yamaha MT-09 and just some of those metric performance Street Fighters naked bikes. I feel like I'd be can't really get on it. That's the problem. I know they don't want to slingshot him, but it's hard not to. Anyway, I don't know if I could convince myself to go out and spend, you know, 18, 20,000 bucks on this when I could get, you know, for $9,000 or less a nice XSR 900 or FC09 or something along those lines. I think the XSR 900 is the one I would get if I were to drop the money on it. But I definitely can see why somebody would dig a motorcycle like this, and I would love to have one of these for a weekend or a week to just go out and really put it to the test. I'm surprised to see they have a key on this thing. What do we got here? Gauges, phone music, ride modes. Oh, let's put it over to sport and see how that does. Dude, I've been in standard mode all this time. Let's try out sport and see if there's any big difference. Jumping on the freeway, nice. Like there's a little bit of difference with sport mode, but honestly it's just like impossible to really get on this thing and put it to the test in this environment. Bummer. Dang, handles surprisingly well on the freeway. I'll say from like my FC07, you jump on the freeway, the thing's so lightweight that a gust of wind kind of pushes you around. This thing feels very solid and stable. Definitely more like the FC09 just from the bikes I've ridden that I like this. But we're not getting a whole lot of wind. The seating position seems super comfortable. Not extremely aggressive. Not a lot of, really no weight at all on my wrists. And my back feels pretty good as well. I could imagine doing a decent ride on this motorcycle and faring just fine. So anyway, overall impressions on this bike, I'm pretty stoked on it. You know, due to the price point, it's not one that I would go out and buy brand new, but I can imagine, you know, if I find one pre-owned with low miles on the used market, definitely one that I could see myself picking up just for, like I said, for the fun factor. Blast of a bike. This is, you know, I have to say, if the Harley Bronx is anything like this, then I think it'll do well. Although I will say, I think the Indian, styling wise, has a much more retro kind of classic vintage look to it, whereas the Bronx is, you know, complete modern redesign, new for Harley, but doesn't really have a throwback cool look to it. But anyway, we're talking about the FTR, not the Bronx, so I'll get off that subject. Oh, little Plymouth Prowler up here. Nice, bro, nice. There's the ultimate hot rod. I may have to get myself a Plymouth Prowler here. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you guys have to think. Drop a comment below. Have you test gotten to ride one of these bikes yet? If so, what do you think? Are you stoked on it? Okay, so I'm about 5'8", and let's see, I definitely am not flat footing it, but comfortably both feet touch the ground. It doesn't sit super high, at least not at my height. Looks like it has self-canceling turn signals. Not bad. I'll have to take that dark horse for a ride too. Anyway, there you have you guys, John's Moto Garage FTR1200, first ride and impressions, and I'm pretty stoked on the bike. It is pretty much everything that I anticipated, to be honest. I have to say, I wish I had been able to go out and get a better demo ride with a little bit more latitude, if you will, a little more freedom out on the road. This bike, I think, really needs to be, in order to be properly tested, I think that's what you need on this motorcycle, but no doubt it would be a complete blast. Not sure what's going on here. There we go. All right, this is where you got to get on it, man. Hopefully this guy knows where we're going, because I don't.
Just follow me, okay?
Yeah, I thought we may have missed it. How do I get a job doing that? Taking people on demo rides. That'd be fun. Well, we made it back in one piece. FTR1200. I think it was a blast. Oh, no wonder I was having problems with my seat. It's got a hole in it. Quick walk around.
Make sure it stops. You have a reputation, don't you, Roland? Yes.